Welcome to episode 48 of Run It Straight, where we answer your questions about how to get better at rugby league. We don't sidestep the difficult topics, but give direct, straight up answers. In essence, we run it straight. Let's jump straight in. First question. I'm looking to make Harold Matts. I am 5'10", 14 to 15% body fat, 75 kilos. Hooker, lock, should I get heavier? Firstly, thank you for the detail.
That's awesome detail.
That makes it so much easier for us to be able to give you some more specific advice. So context is really important. Okay, looking to make Harold Matts 5'10", 14, 15 as a hooker. As a hooker, if you were, because you've got hooker lock there, which is, you know, it's screwed with things a little bit. If you were just a hooker, I think he's heavy enough as a hooker.
As a hooker, 100%.
That's absolutely fine.
Yep.
As a lock, if someone was to say I'm a hooker, that weight, fine. If someone was to say I'm a lock, that weight, you're probably too light.
Yep.
So you've got to look. You've listed hooker first, so I am going on the assumption that that's your primary position. So assuming that, I'd say you don't need to be gaining size. If you were solely a lock, I'd say you probably need to be 5 or 10 kilos heavier if you were going to be playing in the middle. Yep. Either way, focus on getting your other physical qualities where they need to be. So the standards that we use for mats, 1 RM bench press of your body weight, 3 RM back squat of 1.36 times your body weight, chin up of 1.2 times your body weight, and with your Bronco, if you're a hooker, we class hookers as backs for conditioning point of view because they're usually the fittest players on the field aside from the fullback, is minimum 5, you want to be under 5.09 for your Bronco. But I mean, it was a lot of detail and was pretty much straight to the point.
Yeah.
Should I get heavier? And I would say no, based off of the information that we have. What do you think?
Well, you got to really look at your position and prioritize what you actually are. So if you're spending more time in lock, as Joe said, maybe get a little bit heavier, maybe 5 to 10 kilos. The Harold Matts season is just around the corner, so you know, maybe 5 kilos is a bit of a stretch between now and February. But if you do it right, you definitely can. If you're more of a hooker and you spend most of your time at hooker,
your weight's fine.
Your weight's fine. As Joe said, you'd look at increasing and improving.
But you know, the more that I think about it, the more that I think about it, if he's put hooker lock and he's sitting on that fence, I don't think he's particularly confident in himself as a hooker only.
Or it could be one of those scenarios. He might start off at hooker and then shift to lock with a.
In which
14
case, he might need a little bit more weight on him.
Exactly.
So you've got to decide what you are.
Yeah.
You've got to decide what position you're going to play, because those two things. You know, there are some guys in the NRL that are those hooker / to locks, but all of those guys are heavy enough to play that lock.
They're a middle. They're a downs grade of a middle. Like they're probably 10 kilos less than what a middle would be, but 10 kilos more than what a hooker would be. They're in that kind of little that sweet spot.
Yeah, no, 100%. Perfect. Okay, next question. I am a winger, 87 kilos, 5'10", which is, I think it's like 177, 178 centimeters.
Yep.
I'm 17. How do I get ready for reps? I'm already strong. Do I need speed?
Great detail again. Yeah,
just a very quick one, which I'll probably come back to, but everyone needs more. If anyone can get faster, get faster. Yep. If you're a winger, you want to have speed. We've got there's a Joe Knows episode on YouTube that goes into how to get yourself ready to play reps. It's called What Most People Don't Know About Making a Rugby League Rep Side, so go have a look at that, one of the Joe Know episodes. Now let's look at what you're doing right now. 87, like I said, is about 179 centimeters, which is pretty solid. Like that's a pretty nuggety winger.
100%.
I'd be interested to know what your body fat level is, because 87 is a very healthy weight for a winger of that height.
Yep.
Remember, as a winger in Harold Matts, typically we're looking at getting your body fat at or under 14%. So that's a question. I would say to yourself, go and have a look online. And you can, if you just Google body fat percentage men, you'll come up with a whole lot of grids, and they've got, you know, like it's someone 5 to 10, someone 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and so on. Have a look at that and have a look at yourself in the mirror. Take a photo if you want, and then compare the two, and that'll give you a rough idea of where it is that you're sitting. So that's probably the easiest way, just visually, to do it when you don't have access to a DEXA scan or someone reliable to do skin folds. So, yeah, 14% or lower. Now, literally in the last question, because you asked here, I'm already strong, do I need speed? I'd like to know how strong you are. Last question talked about general numbers, but I'm going to be specific here with you. You want to have a 1RM bench of 87 kilos and a 3RM squat of 117.5 with your Bronco less than 509. So I would go and test your bench, test your squat, and actually see. Now, you've said you're already strong, that's why I think that maybe he's a bit chunky.
Yeah.
There's a few things in there that indicate it to me.
Out and there's probably a bit of a trend there.
And yeah, look, getting that Bronco under 509 might be a little bit more challenging for you because you are a little bit heavier. But wingers, they do so much work these days in the modern game. It's not like the old days, the joke of what do you call someone who hangs out with footballers, which is a winger. Because they never used to do much except right at the end of the backs ball, catch it and score a try. These days, wingers they run massive meters.
Yeah. Well, if you look at a winger, if they have less than 10 carries a game, you're probably going to suggest they've had a quiet game.
Yeah.
They do a lot of grunt work and taking a load off the forward. So
yeah, look, you've got kick receptions, which are obviously going to be fullback, wing. One of them's going to get it.
Yep.
But then straight away, the next 2 or 3 hit-ups are going to be wingers and sometimes centres getting in there and doing it.
Yep.
In your own red zone, getting out of those difficult areas. Again, the wingers and centres come in and take all of those runs. And then you've still got to be ready when the ball is shifting to either edge. You've got to be ready to play your role out there too.
Exactly.
So don't really do a whole lot in defence, but they do a lot in attack.
Yep.
Hence the Bronco being at that time is pretty important. So I would go and test all of those. I'd test your bench, I'd test your squat, and I would test your Bronco. Now you've said, do I need speed? Speed is king.
Speed is king.
We've actually got there's a Joe Knows video on that. I think it's the 4 keys. Spiro, do you know what it's called? I think it's the 4 keys to getting faster. The Joe Knows video on speed. We'll put a link in the show notes. So Spiz, put a link in the show notes to that one, please. And that will give you some tips on what you should be doing to train your speed. But all he's given us some details. Do I need speed? Yes, you need speed.
Yep.
Test your strength and have a look at those body fat charts. See where you're sitting and see if you need to probably trim down a little bit. No, not a whole lot, but maybe 2 or 3 kilos of body fat. Like we said, that's going to give you a little bit of speed. Mm-hmm. The easiest way to get fast for anyone whose body fat's too high is just drop some body fat. Easiest way, hands down. And it'll also help your Bronco if you're a little bit lighter.
Yeah. Do you need speed? Yes. To train speed, you actually have to sprint. You have to sprint off and sprint a couple times a week.
Yes.
So that's the one thing a lot of people do get wrong. They think they can just, and to an extent they can do a lot of gym work and power work, within a controlled setting to increase their speed. But if you're not sprinting, you're not going to get fast. You're not going to increase it. Sprinting is a skill that has to be trained, and it has to be trained often. A couple times a week, and you'll be fine.
And you've got to train it properly, which means it's not speed endurance. It's not a concession. A lot of boys, we did speed training with my team on Tuesday night. It's like, okay, well, what did you do for speed? We sprint 20 meters and then jog back and then sprint 20 meters. It's like, that's not speed.
Nope.
Speed would be you sprint your 20 meters and then you rest for 45 to 60 seconds to 75 seconds. You have a good rest so that you've got complete recovery and then you go again. So you want to have complete recovery if you're training your speed.
Yep.
Cool?
Done.
Moving on. How important is nutrition in the game of rugby league? Very.
Yes.
We need some specifics.
Yeah.
Give us specifics in those questions. Do you want to be in a surplus? Do you want to be in a deficit? Do you want to be in a balance? That's the first thing that you need to decide.
Yes.
Yeah?
100%.
You need to be clear about the outcome when you're talking about your nutrition. Then the next thing that you need to do is once you've decided that, you need to ensure you're getting a minimum of 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. Whether you're looking to gain or you're looking to lose, you need to make sure you're getting your 2 grams per kilo of protein. We recommend everyone use MyFitnessPal to track your food. That's how you know how much of that you're getting. Now, when it comes to how you fill out the rest of your diet, your other macros and everything else like that, obviously eating quote unquote clean is going to be healthier than not. There's a lot more nutrients that are in whole foods than are in processed foods. So if you can, there's obviously advantages to eating whole foods rather than processed. But I would say only if it's sustainable for you, or perhaps to the extent to which it is sustainable for you. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If you're trying to lower your body fat levels and you're like, I'm just going to eat, just vegetables and fruits and lean meats, And like a lot of people will try that and they last 4 days, and then they're at KFC or Hungry Jack's and they just blow it completely because I can't do this. I can't do this.
Back on.
So if having a chocolate coconut protein bar for lunch works, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Like and this what it has to be sustainable. If it's not sustainable, it's not going to work. There's no point eating clean if you can't sustain it or can't sustain it yet. You might move towards that, and over time you start to take certain things out and put other things back in, healthier options. But it's got to be something that you can do day in, day out, or it just won't work. You can't white knuckle your way to it and I'm just going to grimace and suck it up, because that doesn't. It fails almost 100% of the time.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, anything you want to add?
No. That's you've pretty much answered that question. Again, all dependent on what your goals. You want to gain weight, lose weight. Do you want to maintain weight? You can do certain things around game day and training sessions. Timing your carbohydrates and things like that. But
again, without that kind of detail.
Without that context is hard to get into. But yeah, it's all dependent on what your goal is and what you want to do.
And I think the sustainability thing really is the big thing. I'll give an example. I was training someone once. He wasn't a rugby league player. He was a middle-aged guy who was 40, 50 kilos overweight, and he tried a whole bunch of things and they didn't work. So we gave him, okay, we're going to be in a calorie deficit. It might have been 1,800 or something like that. These are your protein goals that we need to hit, which was pretty considerable because of his size. And he had a significant sweet tooth. So basically what he would do, and how he lost the weight, he had a couple of scoops of protein in water for breakfast. And then mid-morning, sort of like 10:30, 11, he would have a big long black, and he'd have this big chunky piece of strawberry slab cake every single day. And I remember it was interesting when he started training with me, and we went through and we put all of this in the app to make it work. Lunch for him was literally, he went down to the food court. He worked in the city. He went down to the food court and he literally had like a grilled chicken salad with no dressing. And then dinner was fairly normal, some kind of protein, and there was, the old meat and 3 veg type thing, right? And that was his, there might have been one more shake in the afternoon, and that was his meal plan. And he was maybe a month in, and one of his colleagues at work is like, I think you need to see a new trainer, or you need a new plan or something, because you're having a massive piece of cake every day. And he's like, yeah, but I've lost 7 kilos in the last 4 weeks. And he ended up losing 50 kilos because there wasn't a single day when he felt like he was restricted or on a diet, because he got to have this thing every day. And so he's tried just eating clean, and he said never more than 3 or 4 days, and then he'd blow it out: hot chips, KFC, ice cream, everything else like that. We found a way that he was in a calorie deficit, he was meeting his protein goal, and he was still able to eat something. And then over time, the strawberry slab cake got a little bit smaller in size. We were able to start, as his weight came down, he didn't need to have as much protein. We were able to take some of that protein out and have a little bit more, some whole foods, which have got more nutrients and everything else like that. But for the food Nazis who want to be like, oh no, he shouldn't be having all of the protein powder that's manufactured. He's so much healthier, 50 kilos lighter than when he was when he had all that weight, regardless of how the food, how processed it was that got him there. And it wasn't particularly processed anyway. So again, the point is it needs to be sustainable.
Yep.
Cool?
That's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing. That's our third question.
That's it.
That's it, done. So, Cal's going to tell you all the things we need to do. What do we need to do?
All right, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Don't be afraid to send in any questions. When you do send questions, please send in with detail. The more detail we get, the more specific we can get. We can actually add 2 good questions here with a lot of detail in it. So
yeah, we did.
Keep that trend going, please.
And if you have any questions that you don't want on here, hit me up in DMs on Instagram. I spend quite a bit of time every single day trying to get back to everyone to try to help you out and give you advice. So yeah, please, it is me answering those questions, so fire away. Other than that, we will see you in the next one.